Hey guys, so I realize I've been pretty much assaulting you guys with content, like really just coming for the neck. And the reason why I did that is because me personally, I really enjoy having lots of content that I can sort of digest at my own leisure. Maybe if I'm on the train, I'll listen or watch a few videos. If there's a playlist, something like that. That's how I just personally enjoy it. I just think it makes things easier to absorb. Now, on to the discussion today. Well, not necessarily. So I'm going to be doing a few videos a week, maybe 2-3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, depending on how I feel or what I can think of. If you guys have interesting topics or if anything you want me to discuss, I'm going to be doing that and uploading, fairly regularly. But there's still going to be beginners videos. We're also going to move a little bit into intermediate and maybe touch on a couple other things, just because I do think it's important to really cover all the bases, because even though this is mainly to help new players, lots of different kinds of players, even intermediate, more advanced players, maybe sometimes DMs, can really benefit from this, because they can watch this and say, okay, that's the way this guy sees things. That's not how I saw them. Or maybe a player says, that's how he sees this, that's not how I saw them. It offers a different perspective. Now, on to today's topic. So for today, we are going to be discussing knowing your characters. Knowing your style of characters. Knowing what kind of character you want to play. This is important. It is arguably one of the most important things you can do. And the easiest way to really stick with this and get good at knowing your characters isn't just to play your characters. The easiest way is to look over your character sheet. I think it's important that before every session you play, especially after a session that you gained a level up, for every session you play, you should look over your character sheet. Really study that shit. Because at the end of the day, what it comes down to is your skills develop. And you may forget that you have something on your character sheet or not even know you had it. And I have a couple of examples. So if you look over the traits and feats and you play a warrior class, you may say, oh, okay, that's right. It's been a week or two since I last played. This is what this character can do. If you're a spellcaster, you can say, all right, these are the spells I have. What do they do? You can refresh yourself on what exactly your spells do. And as a spellcaster, in a lot of instances, you can reset your spell list. I believe on long rest for a lot of spellcasters, if not all. But I say do that until you feel comfortable with the spell list that you have or the set that you have, because resetting your spell list may save your life in some instances. But also, if you get yourself into a groove that all right, these are the sort of spells that I like to use, they can be applied to a bunch of different situations, and you're good to go. Because tons of skills, not just spells, tons of skills in general can be applied within combat and without. Now, you may be saying, well, Vincent, what about my DM? My DM should be able to help me or, tell me if I forget something. And no, that's not the DM's job. The DM is not playing your character. Even if the DM has played a character like that before, it's still not up to him to constantly tell you what you can do. You should know. Especially if it's if you're not a caster, you should know what you can do, because your DM is going to be throwing you in situations and you may not be able to respond appropriately. And if you're a caster and you're able to throw spells, if you don't know what your spells can do and your DM does, and you're like, oh, I want to cast this, and he's like, why would you cast that? That's not going to work in here. Well, what do you mean? Well, I gave you the dimensions of the room or your understanding of the room. You cast that, you're going to be affecting all these people, or you're going to be doing this or that. And it really just lengthens the game in not a good way, because you're looking at your sheet what's the spell fucking... And I'm not saying have everything memorized in regards to spells, because that's a lot. But having an idea, saying, all right, how much damage does that do? Okay, and the distance, all right, I think it's about 60 feet. And does it have an area of effect? You know what I mean? And you can have something and there are apps on your phone that you can just, all right, I looked up the spell, this is the spell I want to use. And then bam, it's right there, I'm opposed to smartphones at the table, but if it's to look up a spell, I think it's fine. Or look up skills, I think it's fine. Now, here's an example of why it's important. I was playing with a character, and this is not to chastise them because they were a new player. They're super new, and again, this isn't a point of criticism like they're a bad player, but he was playing a monk, and he's playing with a rogue. The rogue is using a very general, like, full set of his skill. He's like, oh, I got this thing, I can do this, and I can do that, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to stay out of it. I don't really want to get mixed up in there, because he's a rogue, and he's a little squish, you know what I mean? Not super squish, but a little squish. They're not designed for in-your-face combat typically all the time. So he was playing his character how he thought he should play it. The other character was a monk, and monks can do sort of like a dash in, dash out sort of damage sort of thing, but his character style was to stand his ground. He's playing a monk of the Way of Long Death, and you are able to get temporary HP when you kill enemies. You're able to use an action to make enemies within 30 feet of you fear you, and they have to pass a wisdom save. He still has Step of the Wind. They have 2 attacks and a bonus attack if they're using a monk weapon. So he had a monk weapon, and he was able to do a bonus attack after he finished his attack actions. But he was only doing 1 attack because he didn't remember that he didn't know he had 2 attacks because he didn't look over the character sheet. And I forgot because I'm running the game. You know what I mean? I'm facilitating their encounters and like the interactions that they're having with the monsters. I'm not monitoring like how many attacks he's doing. And by the time I realized, I'm like, yo, dude, you get 2 attacks. He goes, oh, yep, there it is. It says it right there. So he could have been doing extra damage or like been stacking up that temporary HP, which I forgot about also because I'm still running this game. And he was taking some hits because he was like in there. So all of a sudden, like his character that probably would have had no issue because I stacked the encounter based on the abilities that I knew that they had. Wound up having a lot more problems, and I didn't understand why until later when I thought about it. Which is why I'm doing this video, because you've got people who have very simple mechanics, and you have people who have more mechanics. You have people who are like, all right, I just have these set of skills, and people have more skills. But no matter what, your responsibility is to know your characters. It's not my responsibility. I shouldn't have to tell you all that you should do this or you can do this. I'm not gonna quarterback you guys. And no DM's gonna want to do that. If any DM sees that, they're gonna be like, this dude doesn't fucking know how to play. Why am I playing with this dude? He doesn't even know his character. And in that situation, it can work out really bad because you take a shit ton of damage and you're just not playing your character or the game to the full potential. So know your characters. Really know your characters. Really know the style that you want to apply those characters to, and really understand how that can be applied. Spellcaster, non-spellcaster, what have you. Always make sure that not every day, before every game, 5 to 10 minutes looking over your character sheet at least twice to make sure that it's fresh in your mind. Because 1, that can save your character's life, and 2, that moves that game along so much smoother. You know, you're less indecisive. I hope this video offered some good advice to the people I mentioned. You know, I'm not chastising you. I'm just using you guys as an example because you're the people I play with. As a DM, like something I can notice like off the bat. Yeah. So, you know, let me know what you guys think. Whatever. Bye.